Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is Julie Santiago, and I am so excited and honored to be joined here with our beautiful client, Lisa. Lisa, welcome.
Thank you, Julie.
So we were just talking before we got started, and Lisa, I'd love for you to share even that sentence that you said right before we started about the path.
So I think knowing what I know now versus, where I started, just understanding that there truly is a path to get there because I was so totally lost. I didn't think that was possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're going to talk about this, and how I want to start is I want to talk a little bit about what results you got in the program. So let's take, so you've just graduated. We call it up leveling, right? So 3 months ago. All right. We'll talk about where you were then, but I want you to first start by talking about where you are now. How are you different? What does life look like now, internally and externally? Let's just start with that.
So I think, first of all, so you can see my smile. There wasn't a lot of that going on previously. Although I was very successful professionally, personally, it was taking a huge toll on me. And I couldn't figure out how can I have the best of both.
Yeah.
And now I understand the importance of truly embracing that I'm okay just as I am, and that I have a lot to bring to the table, and people actually just like me for being me.
So it sounds like when you started, your work life was good. Like you were successful, you weren't happy on the outside. Nice, like not a lot of smiling. It's like you weren't really, but it was taking this massive toll on you personally.
Yes.
And I wonder if you could share, because we all have had this experience. I know your flavor of this because, we've been working together. But what did that look like? I know you said I was angry, I was stressed out, I was a burnt out mess. But how was that impacting your personal life, your relationships? Like, how was that spilling over into everything?
So I think the first thing was, although I have an incredible family, an incredible husband, kids, grandkids, I've got it all, but I wasn't present in my personal life because I was letting my professional life just take over everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think for me, and I had told my coach this as well, I was missing the joy. And that's really what I was seeking to get back in my life.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I think I know I can personally understand this, and all of our clients can. It's like on the outside, we've done all the things that we were supposed to do. And then it's like, but I'm not happy. I'm not fulfilled. I don't have joy. I'm not smiling. I'm not present in my relationships. Like I should be happy. I have these kids and grandkids and husband and all the things. And like, but there's this experience. It's like, no, like joy has been stripped. I remember for me, when I was working on Wall Street, it was like this, I felt like the spark had been taken out of my life. So you came into the program and you knew this joy was gone. And I'm wondering why it was so important for you to fix it. Like at this point in your life, what finally like really drove you to us? Like now's the time to fix it.
So I just gotten to the point where it's like something has to give. It's starting to take a toll not only on me personally but physically. Well, where it just you just run up against this brick wall that's like something isn't right here, and there's got to be a better way to do this, that I'm not killing myself in the process.
Were you skeptical that there was a better way? So you found us. How did you find us? First of all, how did you find us? And then how did you know to trust us?
Okay. So I I actually found you on LinkedIn.
Okay, cool.
Um, and it was like, all of a sudden it was right there in front of me. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know this existed. And so I thought, I just need to reach out and see what this is about.
Hmm.
And I did, and it was just one of those immediate things. It was like, this is what I need to do.
Yeah, you knew. You
Mhm.
knew. And do you remember one of the first things maybe that once you got in the program? So sounds like you knew there had to be another way. I show up on LinkedIn for you. Like sometimes it's Facebook, sometimes it's YouTube. For you, it was LinkedIn. And you're like, okay, I have to try this because the way that I'm doing it isn't working. And then when you think about yourself inside of the program, do you remember what like maybe the first thing I told you to do was? And did you like did you think it was going to work? Like some of the stuff at the beginning.
So some of this, and I told my coach this as well, it's a 12-week program. I would say the first half of the program, which was much more difficult for me than the second half, because the first half was when I really had to like take the blinders off and look inside at myself. I'm a huge proponent of being personally accountable, and but what I was totally missing was I was doing a lot of this. And so I need to turn this around and find a different way. And that was very eye-opening to me.
Wow. So the things that we talk about inside of the program around your pitfalls, right? The things
Yes.
that you're doing that are contributing to this. It was eye-opening for you to see how much of a part you were actually playing and contributing into the burnout, into the exhaustion, into the lack of joy. Whew, yeah. And that was new.
Absolutely.
And that was really new.
It was. And as I was going through them, I was going down through the list. I'm like, check, 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 check. Okay, I'm all of these.
I have all of these pitfalls. Okay. And ladies, you can all, just so you know, if you're watching this, some of the pitfalls are things like the people pleaser, the perfectionist, the overachiever, the overfunctioner, that used to be our strengths, but when we overuse them, they become our weaknesses. And it's that those, the way that high achieving women are built. So we have to learn how to do it differently. I love that. And so it sounds like that first half of the program for you was like this really deep dive, right? Really deep dive. And then what happened throughout the program? When did you start noticing the shifts for you?
So I think for me, the real noticeable difference came about halfway in. So I was doing the work, I was committed, to doing it. And like I said, the first few weeks were really hard for
Mm.
me because it was like, oh wow. you know. But then the second half of the program where it was kind of like, it doesn't really have to be this hard. If I can make these changes and find the support that I need to keep going in this direction,
Uh,
I can do this. And that's when I really started to see the shift. And that's when the smile came back. And that's when people started noticing a difference in me.
mm. What did people notice? What did they say?
So I think the first of it came from I lead a pretty large team of people, and they know what a hard worker I am. Most of them knew that I was, working way too hard. And they would often come to me and say, how can I help? And, the perfectionist in me was, oh gosh, I got to do it myself. And da, da, da. And then when they started noticing that I was delegating or saying, hey, I could really use help in doing this, it that was the first thing. And then it was, I wasn't the first one in the office and I wasn't the last one to leave. They weren't getting emails from me at ungodly hours. And I would come in and they started to see the real me.
Mm.
Like I was sharing things, about myself, and they were like, what are you doing?
We want
What's
that.
happening here?
what is this?
Yeah.
Is this a pill? Is this a drink? Is this a
Yeah.
program? What is this? You're like,
Yeah.
I've just learned. So beautiful. And what a gift. What a gift to your team. What a gift to everybody around you. Sounds like more vulnerability, more you've learned to delegate, you've learned to receive support, you've learned to bring the joy back into your life, you've learned to set boundaries. And I really heard you say something at the beginning that I want to loop back to because it's important and it's intangible, but it's really important. And I heard you say it, which is I feel like I'm enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want us to skip over that. Is there anything else you want to say about that?
So I think this is very common for women, especially, you know, as we're coming into this age of empowerment for women, but we're still trying to find our footing in this area. And the need to constantly try to prove ourselves.
Yes.
I work in a very male dominated industry. Um, and I always felt like what I am is just not enough. And so I have to keep doing more. Um, and I finally got to the point where I realized that's not true.
Mm,
That's that inner critic talking to me and
yeah.
telling me these things that are not true.
Yeah.
And I need to stop listening to her.
Mm. I love this, Lisa, so much. And Lisa's talking right now about we have a whole module and or a whole lesson in the program around identifying the inner critic and the way it's talking to us. And it sounds like part of your inner critic was like you have to keep working and proving in order to have a seat at the table.
Yeah.
And I know that. I think so many women in male-dominated industries understand that deeply, right? That we have had to work twice as hard or thought we had to work twice as hard to get that seat at the table and then to stay there. I'm wondering if you were to put the numbers to this, if you remember, do you remember how many hours a week you were working before the program and then how many hours after?
So I was easily working 70 hours plus a week,
Wow.
usually 7 days a week. And now I've gotten it down to a manageable about 45 or so.
God.
And I did work last Saturday simply because there were some things that happened that I needed to take care of. But previous to that, I don't think I had worked a weekend in 4 weeks, maybe.
Wow. I just want to
Huge.
repeat, this is so huge, Lisa. And I just want to repeat that back. So you came to us and we'll just kind of like recap this journey. You came to us, the joy was gone. You had a great job. You were managing people. You would climb this ladder. You had success on the outside, but it was so overwhelming. You were working 70 hours a week, almost 7 days a week. And this journey that you went on, right, to first look at you looked at your inner world, right? You identified that inner critic voice. You used these tools, right, throughout the program, right? You had a great relationship with your coach. I know that. You showed up every week, right? You showed up all the time. And what that led to was now like a snapshot, 12 plus weeks later, 12, 13 weeks later, you've gotten it down to 45 hours a week. You're smiling again. Your team is noticing. You don't feel like you have to hustle for your worthiness and prove yourself in the same way anymore. Like there's this internal peace and calm. And even though you worked last Saturday, it was just because there was a thing you had to do. That was the first time in a month that you had worked on a Saturday. Like that's brand new and so huge.
Yep.
If you could tell a woman, maybe somebody's listening to this who maybe was like you or like, there's gotta be a better way. And maybe is like a little skeptical, like I've tried all the things, or like, I don't think there's another way. Nobody else is doing, everybody is doing this around me. What would you want her to know about what's possible for her?
So I think first and foremost, you have to be open to embracing a different way of doing things. So that's the first thing. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
can't identify that you need to do something differently, you're going to have difficulty with any program, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. And then second of all, just, putting the time into making these changes in your life. If you do what you're guided to do in the program, you will be successful.
Mm.
You just have to make the commitment
Mm.
to do it. And for us overachieving women, committing to doing something should be easy for us. Should be.
But usually not when it's for ourselves, right? That's the hurdle that we have to jump
Yes,
through.
yes.
Yes. Those are huge things. So number one is you have to be coachable. You have to be willing to look at things that you may not have looked at before, right? This is why, why we work with, this is why the best of the best have coaches and mentors, because we can't read the label from inside of the jar. That's number one. We can't see our blind spots. And then number two, this is such good advice, is that you have to show up for yourself, right? You have to be committed, right? I mean, you literally just told everybody that you saved, 30, almost 30 hours a week, 25 hours a week, right? Right. But you had to be committed to show up. We didn't squeeze the program. We taught you how to slowly, right, decrease those hours so that there was time for you to show up and do the work. But this is so important. You have to be committed enough to say, this old way is not working and I'm willing to learn a new way.
Yep.
Such huge advice. And for those of you who are watching or listening, whether you choose to do that with us or not is completely your choice. But those are the things you need no matter what, right? And I think that's the point, right? No matter what, like you have to do those things. So if you're willing to be coachable, if you're willing to be committed in that way, right? The first step Lisa took with us was to book a breakthrough call. Do you remember who your breakthrough coach was, Lisa?
I have it written down in my journal, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
We have an amazing team of women who are trained, by me. And these breakthrough calls are really the first step, right? They're the first step for you just to get on the phone with our team and talk through, right? Lisa said, I realized I just had to book a call. I had to explore what this is about. We're going to tell you honestly whether or not we think our program will work for you. But if we see that you are like Lisa and that you can have these results, then we want you in our program. And we will tell you about that. But the call is completely free. All you have to do is go to juliesantiago.com/apply. You'll find a time that works on our calendar. We've got times usually in the next few days. You'll fill out a quick questionnaire to help us prep for your call. And then we'll get on the phone with you for about 45 minutes. And we'll really talk to you about what's not working and what you want instead. And if we can help you, we will tell you about how we can do that. Lisa, I'm so grateful to spend this time with you. I'm so grateful that I've been a part of your journey thus far, and I can't wait to see what continues to emerge. Are there any final words that you want to share with anyone watching us?
I think one of my favorite quotes out there that totally applies to this is, you can't pour from an empty cup. And if you don't take care of yourself, there's no way in the world you can have the fulfilling relationship that you want with people that are important to you.
And I just really want to take a moment to be with how much you've changed those important relationships in your life. Like your marriage has changed, your relationship with your children have changed. You could be more of the type of grandmother that you want to be now because you were willing to say, this isn't working. I deserve more in this life and I'm going to find a way.
Absolutely.
I'm so happy for you, for your family, and it's just the beginning. I can't wait to see what keeps unfolding for you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for sharing your wisdom.
Thank you, Julie.
All right, love you, sweetie. See you soon.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.